I almost don't want to put you onto this, but I will because this carrot cake recipe is actually incredible. To a large bowl, add 4 eggs, 1 cup of brown sugar, a half cup of applesauce, 3/4 of a cup of olive oil, 1 cup of white sugar, and a generous splash of vanilla, and whisk that until combined. Then add 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, a pinch of kosher salt, and 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon, and mix that until just combined. Then add 2 to 3 cups of grated carrots and fold. Then you want to divide the batter between 2 parchment-lined 9-inch cake tins and bake them at 350 for around 35 minutes. Let them cool on a wire rack and make your cream cheese frosting. In the meantime, I'll post the recipe for mine soon. After the layers have cooled down, spread about 1/3 of the frosting between the 2 cakes and spread the rest over the top and sides. So yeah, that's it. The full recipe is up on my Instagram. I hope you try it and let me know what you think.
This cookie recipe means a lot to me. I used to bake when I was super stressed in high school, so here's the recipe. You start with 1 cup packed brown sugar, and then you add 1/4 cup white sugar, add a half cup of melted butter. Also, side note, this smells amazing, and it always makes me want to eat it, but it's just butter and sugar. It might look a little lumpy at first. Just keep mixing till it's a little bit smoother. And the mixture's a little bit more together. I add 2 eggs. Would have cracked them into the bowl, but I can't crack eggs with one hand. And you mix them, and I'm not supposed to have these lumps, but I do because I messed up with the sugar. But I just kept going, okay? Then make sure to add a teaspoon of vanilla, and then stir it all together. After that, you add half a teaspoon of baking soda, and then add half a cup of flour, another half cup of flour, another half cup of flour, and then maybe like 1/4 of a cup of flour. I don't want to guesstimate. Mix between each half cup so you get like this consistency. Cookie dough. So this is a game changer here. 4 ounces of bittersweet chocolate, and then you also add 4 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chunks. Don't use chocolate chips. Mix it all together and put it in the fridge anywhere from 30 minutes to overnight. So preheat your oven. Bake them for 14 to 16 minutes. And you get
You need to know how to make cake pops. They are one of the easiest desserts to make, and they're so delicious and pretty trendy. Take your favorite cake, I'm making it from scratch, you can use a box, and just dump it into a bowl. Go crazy. Then you're gonna have to get your hands in there. Mash it up real good until you only have crumbs left. Then take your favorite frosting and just dump it into the cake. Mix it all together. There's no real measurements here. You just add enough frosting until you get this doughy consistency. Take a big chunk of cake and roll it into a bowl. Freeze your cake balls and then melt some chocolate or candy melts. Dip a stick into the chocolate and then into a cake ball. Freeze again and then dip the cake into the chocolate. So satisfying. There you have beautiful cake pops. Check out my Instagram and YouTube.
You need to make this. 4 Oreos. 1/4 cup milk. Smash. Keep smashing. Now, 1 tablespoon sugar, 1 tablespoon flour, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon cocoa powder. Stir. Then you're gonna want put 1 Oreo in there and sink it below and have it covered with that stuff. Microwave 1 minute.
Let's make no-bake white chocolate macadamia ricotta cheesecake. First, add a couple graham crackers, a handful of macadamia nuts, and about a tablespoon of butter to a food processor. Let that break down till it's wet and crumbly, then set aside while we make the filling. For the filling, add about 1 cup of whipped ricotta. This is the ricotta that I made homemade, and I just whipped it up with a hand blender. Add 2 or 3 tablespoons of condensed coconut milk or regular condensed milk if you'd like. A few large tablespoons of the white chocolate macadamia nut spread I made the other week, a pinch of salt and some vanilla, and whip that up until it's fluffy and smooth. Then grease and line a mini springform pan. How flippin' cute are these? Pat the crust into the bottom and then fill the rest of the way with your cheesecake mixture. Then just pop into the fridge or the freezer until it's fully set, and then serve with whatever you'd like, but I chose my sugar-free raspberry jam that I made homemade. This was shockingly good, and even my husband thought so, which is saying something. Now I need to make more ricotta.
1 cup of brown sugar, 1 cup of peanut butter, 1 large egg, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, half a cup of chocolate chips. Mix it all together. Divide into 12 and place on a prepared baking sheet at 350 for 8 to 10 minutes. Boom.
I've been getting tons of questions about Tonghulu, which if you don't know is this super satisfying dessert from China. This video will go over everything you need to know to make it. I recommend using fruits that don't have juice on the outside because fruits that are wet will be really hard to dip in the sugar. Look at that. Mix 1 cup of sugar with a half cup of water and boil. I see tons of comments that people's Tonghulu wasn't crunchy. You have to cook it for long enough. To test if it's done, place a skewer in the sugar and then in ice water, and if it's hard, you're ready to go. The sugar should be thick and a little bit gold. If your sugar gets too wet, it'll start to form crystals like this and you have to restart. Oops. For juicier fruits like kiwi or dragon fruit, be sure to be really careful when dipping. I always let my sugar dry at room temperature for 5 minutes. And there we have delicious, beautiful Tonghulu. Everybody asks how to clean the pan, and I promise it's easier than you think. Just fill it up with water and boil it. Water will dissolve all the sugar stuck at the bottom. I hope you get to enjoy this dessert because it's so cool. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and YouTube.
Let's make donuts. In your mixer bowl, warm water, sprinkle yeast over top, give it a quick stir, and cover for 5 minutes. Warm your milk for about 2 minutes. Once it's nice and hot, pop your butter into it. It helps to cool your milk and melt your butter. There we go, nice and active. Add your sugar, salt, close it up, start to mix. Pour in your milk mix and your eggs. Add 3 cups of flour, then mix on medium for 3 minutes. It's gonna look like this. Switch to the paddle attachment, add the rest of your flour. It's a very wet dough. Cover and let rise for an hour. This was after 45 minutes. Flour your surface heavily. Peel this off. Yes, I could have sprayed it, but I didn't. Pour it out. Pull it into the center. So it looks like this. Roll it out. About this thick. Cut your donuts, like so. Move on to parchment, like so. Cover and let proof for 20 minutes in a pot. Add about 2 inches of oil and heat until it gets to 350. Proof is done. Pop in your donut, flip when golden, and remove.